All right, here we are. Welcome, everybody, one and all and sundry, to the one and the only, thank goodness, Junk Shop Library channel. Home of so many things these days, but of particular concern to us today, of improv Bible study. The Atheist Bible study where we read every last word, because it seemed like a good idea at the time when I started this 2 years ago, of the King James Bible, and then rip it a new asshole. Word of warning for anybody new or lurking or that I hadn't noticed in the chat. Much like the source material, this Bible study is not for the children. So if you are the children, you need to go away and find your atheist content elsewhere. All righty. Ox, all are welcome. Except for the proselytizers. Those I tend to give a hard time. It's just coffee. All righty. Well, let's see. Announcements before we get off the ground. We survived yet another weekend, and we launched today into yet another week. Glad to see so many fantastic people here. The chat is hopping today. I love to see it. Whilst I prattle on and do my intro, y'all have plenty of time to hit the thumbs up, and I'd appreciate it greatly if you do that for me. Wasn't that smooth? Wasn't that subtle? All right. We're back on the regular schedule this week, so we'll have improv Bible study today and Wednesday and Friday. Barring some huge spurt of necessity and or inspiration, we won't have anything at all here on the channel tomorrow. Tuesday's my day off, and tomorrow I've got so many errands I must do. And then Thursday, we will have something a little different, which is our Mental Health Thursday hangout, where we just sort of chill and recuperate and lean on each other a little, like we need to do sometimes, and more so in these strange and stressful times in which we find ourselves. Saturday and Sunday, we'll have the regular patron-only streams, the Catholic Catechism study on Sunday, and who knows what on Saturday. Saturday is bonkers sometimes, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. I want to send a sudden word of thanks out into the ether to Mama Atheist and Aaron Lewis for inviting myself and my wonderful wife onto the book club stream last night. Yep, only last night. It's been a long couple of days to talk about Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. We had a terrific time, and if y'all hadn't seen that yet, you should definitely go check it out over on Mama Atheist's channel. We are closing in on our long coveted 250 subscriber mark here on the channel. We were at 241 the last time I allowed myself to check this morning. At 250 subscribers, or on December the 20th, But realistically on December the 20th, because I've been plugging it for 2 months and there's no way to shift gears on it at this point, like turning around the damn QE2, we'll be having our 250 subscriber celebration stream where I will be eating specially ordered both regular and gluten-free communion bread here on the channel, and just blaspheming right, left, sideways at all and sundry. You won't want to miss that. Spread the word. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. I know I've got some hate watchers out there. That's part of what makes it fun. All right. Well, we are in the book of Isaiah. We survived the wisdom literature of the Bible by the skin of our fucking teeth. And we are now moving into the prophetic literature, starting with the longest book of the Bible, Isaiah, 66 chapters, of which we made it through 4 last time we met. We're going to be in Isaiah for a while, I suspect. So, we'll begin today with Isaiah chapter 5, but I can't do that quite yet. Old Junk Shop's a little all over the place today, and I apologize. I got to change my banner real quick to acknowledge the fantastic folks who keep the channel afloat and streaming those 6 days a week I was talking about. These are the folks who've gone down to the address you now see scrolling at the bottom of your screen, and whose names you now see scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Their contributions, both moral and financial, keep this interesting little endeavor going. Literally couldn't do it without them, and we thank them so very, very much. And we thank them now in what I'm choosing to call alphabetical order. Those folks are the Atheist Pastor, Aunt Jer, B, Bill, Brainbug, Espresso, Gary, Ilya Moon, Kim, the Lavender Lady, Linda, the Lone Wanderer, M, Microraptor, Mama Atheist, Nikki, Ox, Paul, Rain, Robert X, and Santi. Thank you all so very, very much. And special thank you to Brainbug for the fantastic intro that mocked up for me, which I love so very, very much in both of its incarnations. I saw somebody ask what coffee cup I have today. It's my giant fuck off Halloween coffee cup, bearing the legend, hand over the candy and no one gets hurt. All righty. Isaiah, 5th chapter. Now I will sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved hath a vineyard in a very fruitful hill, and he fenced it, and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, and men of Judah, judge, I pray you, betwixt me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Wherefore, when I looked that it should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes. And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the hedge thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down. And I will lay it waste. It shall not be pruned, nor digged, but there shall come up briars and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression. For righteousness, but behold, a cry. Woe unto them that join house to house, that lay field to field, till there be no place, that they may be placed alone in the midst of the earth. In mine ears, said the Lord of hosts, of many a truth, many houses shall be desolate, even great and fair, without inhabitant. Yea, 10 acres of vineyard shall yield 1 bath, and the seed of an omer shall yield an ephah. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them. And the harp, and the viol, and the tabret, the pipe, and wine are in their feasts, but they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hands. Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. And the mean man shall be brought down, and the mighty man shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. But the Lord of hosts shall be exalted in judgment, and God that is holy shall be sanctified in righteousness. Then shall the lambs feed after their manner, and the waste places of the fat ones shall strangers eat. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin, as it were, with a cart rope, that say, let him make speed, and hasten his work, that we may see it, and let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh, and come, that we may know it. Woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, that put darkness for light, and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes, and prudent in their own sight. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward, and take away the righteousness of the righteous from him. Therefore, as the fire devoureth the stubble, and the flame consumeth the chaff, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go up as dust, because they have cast away the law of the Lord of hosts, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore is the anger of the Lord kindled against his people, and he hath stretched forth his hand against them, and hath smitten them. And the hills did tremble, and their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. And he will lift up an ensign to the nations from far, and will hiss unto them from the ends of the earth. And behold, they shall come with speed, swiftly. None shall be weary nor stumble among them, none shall slumber nor sleep. Neither shall the girdle of their loins be loosed, nor the latchet of their shoes be broken, whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hooves shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring shall be like a lion, they shall roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar, and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver it. And in that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And if one look unto the land, behold darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened in the heavens thereof. All righty then, chapter 5. Well, it's been a while since anybody got smoked. But somebody got smoked today, sure enough, huh? All right, so we start out with this vaguely erotic description of grapevine husbandry. And then it goes into talking about deciding not to have a grape vineyard after all, the vineyard, as opposed to what other kind of vineyard, junk shop? Deciding not to have a vineyard, after all, and ripping it out and destroying it and neglecting it and even ordering the clouds not to bring rain on it anymore. And then, for those of you half asleep in the back of the sanctuary, Mr. Isaiah goes on to explain the subtleties of his metaphor. God is the farmer. Israel is the vine. The briars and thorns and various other natural phenomena that destroy the vineyard are other nations who have been raised up to smite Israel as recompense for their sin. And then he proceeds to go on at some length, quite some length, about just how rotten it's going to be for the children of Israel in the days of the wrath of the Lord. Because they're going to get smoked, they're going to get stamped, they're going to get roared at, they're going to get kicked by flint-hooved horses, they're going to be carried away whole and entire and with none to save them. Why? Because they did not do as they were told. Bad Israel, no biscuit. All right, well, could have been shorter. I'm not, as we established back in the wisdom literature, I'm not the world's hugest fan of this this poetic device of saying, you know, they shall roar like a lion, yea, like a young lion, like the young lion hungry for food. Yea, indeed, like the lion which hungereth for food. Yea, like a lion shall they roar, like a lioness who hunteth in the field. You know, you made your point. They're going to be noisy like lions. Cool. Move on. But, you know, when it's, well, Paul, I could lie to you and tell you that it's tea, but it ain't. And then there are these weird moral phrases sprinkled throughout. Woe to them that start drinking early in the day. Except presumably if you're priests, because, you know, the priestly class has to take the wine offerings at whatever time of day it happens. Good gravy, so many notifications. Stop it. Go away. Yeah, Michael Raptor says it could have been shorter, and tell us when this isn't true. You're right. Paul says I will burn in hell. Strangely enough, not a threat that bothers me anymore, my friend. And you're not the first one to try. Okay. Yeah, it's essentially just another do right by God and you won't get smoked chapter. It's just long. What can you do? Chapter 6. Chapter 6. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord. Okay, that took a turn. I was not expecting the seeing of the Lord. So, yeah, chapter 6, starting off with a bang. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain did he fly. And one cried unto another, and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, for mine eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth, and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin purged. Also I heard the voice of the Lord, saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, Here am I, send me. And he said, Go, and tell this people, Hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert, and be healed. Then said I, Lord, how long? And he answered, Until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. And the Lord have removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. But yet in it shall be a tenth, and it shall return, and shall be eaten, as a tile tree, and as an oak, whose substance is in them. When they cast their leaves, so the holy seed shall be the substance thereof. There we have the not at all trippy 6th chapter of the book of the prophet Isaiah. All right. You want to talk about a passage I would have been fine with never hearing again? There was a certain man whose tutelage and whose presence loomed large in my life when I was a child, whose entire conversion and calling to be a tutor was based around this story. The who am I? Send me. Or here am I, send me. I know this one well. The tongs and the tongue and the lips and the 6-winged seraphim. Interestingly, why do the seraphims have 6 wings? I thought there were seraphim graven upon the statues, that there were statues of seraphim in Solomon's temple, and they only had 2 wings because they measured from tip to tip to tip to tip to tip across the room, and they stretched out across the entire place. Microraptor points out the Bible says no living person shall see God, but Isaiah saw him? Right? Well, so far we've had Moses who got to check out God's ass, and now Isaiah, who's apparently more invincible even than Moses, because he got to see God whole and entire, and yet gave no description. I don't know. If I were to see the ancestral deity of my people, high and lifted up, and with his train filling the temple, I would think it would behoove me to write stuff down. Lone Wanderer, are you serious? I mean, I don't doubt you. I've just kind of got to see it for myself. I do. Slow loading app. Slow loading app. I shall be damned. Look at that. All right. Well, thank y'all. That's amazing. That's amazing. It's the last time I'll reference that man, I promise. All right. Now it's just a game to see who's see what the numbers get up to by the 20th. Might have to change the name of that thing. Thank you all so very much. Everybody who's both watching and not, both now and in the future. Must have been that fish video that pushed me over the top. People love that fish video. I need to remember that in the future. All right. So Isaiah sees fit to describe the seraphims, but not the God. Now, back in my Sunday school and church and days, we were taught this story on and on, over and over. Christians, particularly the Southern Protestant Christians, to which I can particularly speak. Yes, the seraphim are a kind of angel, for lack of a better term. They're a celestial being that just sort of hangs out with God. Beyond that, I don't really know much. Angel lore has never really been a particular interest of mine. But we were taught the story all the way up until Isaiah is sent to prophesy to my people Israel. I don't ever remember being taught the last couple of verses of that. That his prophetic word is to shut the ears and the eyes and the hearts and the minds of Israel until the end of the earth, or at least until 9/10 of the way to the end of the earth. And then it'll come back like a deciduous tree in the spring after winter has passed. Just a weird little... Can you imagine getting that prophecy? God appears to you and says, I want you to go tell my people not to listen or pay no attention ever again until all the cities lie in ruins. Except there's going to be a 10th of them left over, and then I'll bring them back from near extinction. The hell do you do with that? Seriously. Oh, Brainbug says they're going to talk about seraphim in the upcoming Monsters in the Bible. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, everybody make sure you're subscribed to Brainbug's channel and check out that ongoing Monsters in the Bible series. It's both very funny, very informative, and also fascinating. I know I'm not interacting with the chat as much as I usually do, but y'all are hopping today, and I can't hardly keep up. So, thank you for being so engaged and so responsive to each other. I love it. Y'all know I do. Okay. Yeah, so a doom prophecy. And also 6-winged angels, because as somebody said in the chat I saw earlier, 5 would just be silly. Yeah. There's going to be lengthy quotations from the book of Isaiah that I remember and recognize, because Isaiah is a fan favorite in the Methodist Church, especially come Christmas time. It's a very deliverance after the tribulation heavy sort of prophetic work, as best I recall, and that ties in well to Advent and Christmas and the aftermath thereof. I beg your pardon. But there's also going to be large chunks of these 66 books of the prophet Isaiah that I don't remember at all. If I was even taught them to begin with, which we've already established, I wasn't necessarily real good. Chapter 7. And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up toward Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. And it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim. And his heart was moved, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind. Then said the Lord unto Isaiah, Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou and Shear-Jashub thy son, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. And say unto him, Take heed and be quiet, fear not, neither be faint-hearted for the two tails of these smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger of Rezin with Syria, and of the son of Remaliah. Because Syria is Ephraim and the son of Remaliah have taken evil counsel against thee, saying, Let us go up against Judah, and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us, and set a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabeal. Thus saith the Lord God, It shall not stand, neither shall it come to pass. For the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within 65 years shall Ephraim be broken, that it be not a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. If ye will not believe, surely ye shall not be established. Moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahaz, saying, Ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. And he said, Hear ye now, O house of David. Is it a small thing for you to weary men, but will ye weary my God also? Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings. The Lord shall bring upon thee, and upon thy people, and upon thy father's house, days that have not come, from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall hiss for the fly that is in the uttermost part of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. And they shall come, and shall rest all of them in the desolate valleys, and in the holes of the rocks, and upon all thorns, and upon all bushes. In the same day shall the Lord shave with a razor that is hired, namely, by them beyond the river, by the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of the feet, and it shall also consume the beard. And it shall come to pass in that day that a man shall nourish a young cow and 2 sheep. And it shall come to pass, for the abundance of milk that they shall give, he shall eat butter, for butter and honey shall every one eat that is left in the land. And it shall come to pass in that day that every place shall be, where there were 1,000 vines at 1,000 silverlings, it shall even be for briars and thorns. With arrows and with bows shall men come thither, because all the land shall become briars and thorns. And on all hills that shall be digged with the mattock, there shall not come thither the fear of briars and thorns, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen, and for the treading of lesser cattle. What? What the hell was that? I'm so confused right now. What did I just read? Oh my goodness. Okay. So Ephraim rises up and teams up with Syria to go up against Jerusalem. And the king, King Ahaz, is all stressed and freaked out about it because the Syrian Empire is coming to war against his crappy little desert kingdom. And Isaiah comes to him and says, don't worry about it. It's only going to be about 70 years or so before that whole tribe dies out and nobody will have to worry about it anymore. And then he says, here, I tell you what, if you don't believe me, ask for a miracle and God will do it just so you don't, have to worry that this is just some weird old guy telling you weird shit for no reason. And the king says, I'm not going to ask for a damn miracle. That's some putting the Lord thy God to the test shit, which we're not supposed to do, in case you don't remember. And Isaiah says, God damn it, why won't you people do what you're told? I told you ask for a miracle. Okay, fine. You won't ask for a miracle? I'll improvise one. Some woman's gonna have a baby. And while that baby's still very young, all this stuff that I told you will come to pass. Because the whole virgin having a baby thing is, we now know, like the bulk of all scholarship unified has come to understand that the word translated virgin as in the King James just meant young woman. Well, so much for the New Testament. I guess we can just rip all that shit right out since it doesn't matter anymore. Oh yeah, brain bug, that's an entirely different Emmanuel. Wasn't there an Emmanuel in space? At least one. Let's not go down that particular rabbit hole. Should have done that back in Song of Solomon. Okay, and then there's all this metaphor. It starts about halfway through in verse 18, and I can't help but think that half of this is weird idiom translation stuff. The Lord shall hiss for the fly and for the bee, and they shall come and rest in the holes of the rocks. Now, this is the second time in like 2 chapters where to hiss has been used to mean to summon. Because he hissed for an invading army in the last chapter. Now he's hissing for bees. And then, verse 20, God's going to bring the Assyrians and shamefully expose Israel by the might of the king of Assyria. Will shave off the hair of the head and the beard and the hair of the feet. Feet. As those of you who were around with me back in Ruth likely recall, is old-timey Old Testament slang for the no-nos. God's going to shamefully expose Israel to the extent that the Assyrians are going to shave the hair off their no-nos. And then there's all this weird stuff about honey and butter. That the land is going to be filled with such abundance that everyone's going to be able to have butter and honey to eat in abundance. And then there's not, I don't understand the timetable here. I really and truly don't. Because in the last chapter, there wasn't going to be anything good happening until like no, what would it be? Decimation is if you kill off a tenth. So what would killing off 90% be? Anyway, till the death of 90% of Israel and the laying waste the land. And now we're being told, if we are the king and the children of Israel, now we are being told, don't worry about it. It's only going to be 65 years and everything will be fine. And then there will be plenteousness in the land again. I don't really understand I don't get what we're supposed to be expecting. I mean, I guess that's prophecy, right? That's really the best of how prophecy works, is you make it as vague as fucking possible, and then when anything happens, you can say, aha, I told you so, but in metaphor. And we got 60 more chapters of this hot mess to go. Chapter 8. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, oh goody, take thee a great roll, and write in it with a man's pen concerning Maher-shalal-hash-baz. And I took unto me faithful witnesses to record, Uriah the priest, and Zechariah the son of Zeberechiah. And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Lord to me, call his name Maher-shalal-hash-baz, for before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. The Lord spake also unto me again, saying, forasmuch as this people refuseth the waters of Shiloah that go softly, and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son. Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong and many, even the king of Assyria and all his glory. And he shall come up over all his channels, and go over all his banks, and he shall pass through Judah. He shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. Associate yourselves, O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces. And give ear, all ye of far countries. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for God is with us. For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say ye not a confederacy, to all them to whom this people shall say a confederacy. Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses of Israel, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall, and be broken, and be snared, and be taken. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. And I will wait upon the Lord, that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel, from the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, Seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God, for the living to the dead? To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And they shall pass through it, hardly bestead and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves, and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. And there we have chapter 8. Wizards that peep and that mutter. Wizards that peep and that mutter. Yeah, don't Google. Yeah, Ox, do not Google everything they say in Junk Shop's chat. Do not trust the chat. They will lead you astray from the law of the Lord. Oh, shit. The law of the Lord. Okay, this is not going to be the last time that God tells one of the major prophets particularly to go enact some weird lifestyle change as a sign and a symbol for things to come, and spread the word about it. It's not going to be the last, and it's not going to be the strangest, not by a long damn sight. Wait till we get to fucking Ezekiel. Okay, so God says, I want you to take a big-ass roll of parchment, the biggest scroll you can find, and I want you to write down the story of Maher-shalal-hash-baz. Isaiah says, okay, here's the only thing. I don't know anybody called Maher-shalal-hash-baz. So what does he do? He makes one. He goes in unto the prophetess, presumably his wife, and makes Maher-shalal-hash-baz. Just poof. Just gets his wife with child. Or the prophetess, whoever that is. I'm going to assume it's his wife. Although we haven't heard anything about a wife here until now. So maybe there's just a prophetess out there in Israel somewhere whose job is to produce prophecy babies for any of the wandering prophets of Israel. I don't fucking know. None of this makes any goddamn sense to me. Yes, with a man's pen, Micro Rap. Wouldn't do to write a prophecy with a woman's pen. That would no, my goodness, no. Prophetesses went out back in the days of the judges. We hadn't had a good one of those since Jael nailed Sisera's head to the ground with a tent peg. That was fun. Y'all remember Judges? All kinds of smiting back in the Judges. Okay, so 9 months later, in the next verse, Isaiah's got a son called Maher-shalal-hash-baz, which means It seems very important, so I'm sure they'll tell us what it means. It means... Nope. It doesn't fucking say. It's important enough to repeat, but not important enough to translate. And I don't know if that's a fault of the original text or of some poor cabal of monks back in 1610 who were sitting there scratching their heads going, Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Oh, fuck it. We'll write it out phonetically. Nobody's going to be reading this shit anyway. And this is the thing that frustrates me, among other things, just as a narrative device, let alone as an article of faith, about the lifestyle-changing deed as prophetic word that God fell in love with so much round about the time of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. He'll say things like, you know, go write the deeds of Maher Shalal Hashbaz, who, by the way, you've got to procreate into existence. But then there's a 9-month gap before the kid even exists to be named. It draws its first breath and becomes a living being, as the belief was back then in that part of the world. And then how long is it going to be before because the kid only exists as a timer. Before the child is old enough to say mama, dada, the prophecy of the whelming tide of the Assyrian hordes will be upon you. So you've got, what, somewhere between 24 months and change before this happened. Why not just say it's going to be 2 fucking years? Say in about 2 years the Assyrians will come. No, what fun would that fucking be? No, instead we've got to have this weird object lesson child with the unpronounceable fucking name. Hey, take care, Meth Pig. Thanks for dropping by, my friend. It's not, I mean, this is weird. At least there's finally something to get my nose a little out of joint over. There was a while there, wisdom literature, where nothing fucking happened. I mean, I got to where I didn't hardly know how to read out loud narrative prose anymore, because we were stuck with the poetry for so long. I mean, and a lot of this is, you know, is future tense, and here's what's going to happen. But the advantage to these long-winded fucking prophets are that they'll say, here's what's going to happen, and then they'll just speak the entire train of events. They'll just do it in some weird future imperfect. So, all right. Well, we're creeping up on the top of the hour already. And we just rounded the corner of chapter 8, so we won't go on to another chapter. Folks are starting to have to go to bed and have to go on to do other things. And plus, we don't want to end on an odd-numbered chapter. That would, I can drink coffee or end on an odd-numbered chapter. I don't dare do both in the same stream. Take care, Doc. All right. Well, this was fun. Let me know in the comments if you thought this was fun. We got some supernatural we got one smite Ox, we got one smite. I mean, technically it was a smitten, but we got one lonely little smite. Yeah, we had finally got us a smite. We had some war metaphors. We had some celestial beings. We had a tongue being scorched with a live coal from the brazier. That was weird. We had prophecies of doom, destruction, and rampaging Assyrian hordes. So it doesn't make up for the amount of time we spent in Psalms, but at least we finally got some proper Old Testament batshittery back. A little casual misogyny with the woman only existing to crank out Maher Shalal Hashbaz. A little confusing, but fun. Yeah, Amiga Nuts, I agree. All right. Well, we'll roll out of here then. I appreciate y'all all for coming. I know I said before, I didn't interact with the chat as much as I usually do, but it was blurring by so fast I couldn't hardly keep up with it, and I love to see that. It's such a nice problem to have. All right. Well, y'all take care. We're not on tomorrow, as Ox points out. Julia's, though, make sure you're subscribed over on her channel. Tune in for some wine and some reason. Until we congregate again, wherever that is, everybody take care. Be safe. And stand against hate. We'll see y'all again soon.